Welcome, guys. It's been a while. We're going to do another party time talk. Today's party time is brought to you by LaCroix. Just kidding. No sponsorship, but I wish. But today we're going to be talking about the history of Lightning Performance Solutions. So, when it started, why Brett chose to do things the way that he does, um, and all that good stuff. So, I'm excited to ask him a bunch of questions, and I'm just going to sit, ask questions, listen, and hopefully you guys can learn a little bit about the history of Lightning Performance Solutions and why we do things the way we do here. So, Brett, when did Lightning Performance Solutions come about?
So, are you talking about officially or for real, for real?
I want to know officially because you've technically owned the LLC for how many years?
Almost 10.
Okay,
Yeah, almost
but
10.
then you didn't open up here until April 2020.
Correct.
So you've been
Yeah.
in this building for a little over 3 years now.
Yes.
Because April
Maths.
April
Yeah,
would have been
maths.
3.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why did you start the LLC 10 years ago?
So, originally, the purpose was just more of like a consulting basis, and then if I wanted to see anybody on the side, and just kind of have the organization and protections of an LLC to do what I wanted to do, but I never had a vision of taking it anything past really consulting.
Yeah. And so you did consulting then for 5, 7 years?
Yeah, I guess.
When did you start like treating private clients?
2018.
2018 was kind of
Yeah.
when it started.
Well, there were a few in. I guess I had a few each year 14, 15, 16, 17. But it was really 18 when I started doing it more consistently, the fall of 18. Doing more and more of that after leaving an old job where, we had some philosophical disagreements, which is one of the reasons that I decided to do this because I was really tired of a lot of antiquated care models and thought, well, I think I can probably do this better. And it's not even necessarily better as much as it is just a completely different approach.
Yeah, for sure. So then 2018 you started seeing more people.
Mhm.
And then I know you were like in and out of some jobs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't until when did you start looking at this place to like rent it out and like take your vision to an actual clinic?
I started looking around for real estate in November, December of. It might have been actually earlier than that, October of 19. And looked at some places, found a couple places. A couple of negotiations didn't work out real well. Originally tried to like rent a room off the side of a gym.
I remember that.
Tried to rent a room off the side of a baseball facility. There were, a few different opportunities that I potentially had, and it just, it was still such a foreign concept to do that in 2019, that we couldn't come to terms and make it work. So really in January of 20, my hand was kind of forced with not being able to find some other opportunities. It's like, you know what? Maybe all the signs of the universe are pointing towards I need to just do this. So I ran across this place in January, And then I ran across it again in February and said, you know what, I'll just go look at it. Late February, came and visited, and then decided in March, you know what, let's do it. And signed the lease, went back and forth negotiating, signed the lease 3 days before COVID shut the world down.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I know that was a massive challenge for you for the early parts of your business to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still trying to generate all the clientele to see here while trying to do all of the other things, right? Well, let's fast forward to today now, where you're in the same building, but instead of having one suite, you've expanded into two others.
Mm-hmm.
So, how many square feet was your first?
750.
And now it's what?
2,300.
2,300, which is pretty impressive and takes a lot of hard work and dedication to build up to that point and do. So when you were thinking about taking lighting performance solutions to a physical building where you had a clinic to see people, what made you decide like how long you wanted the appointments to be, how you were going to shape your eval and treatment process, because it's very different from a couple other places. I mean, new patient evals are 2 hours long. You start out with a super detailed history that could take anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour, depending on what's going on. And then you spend the rest of that time treating day of.
Mm-hmm.
And at least in my experience, I don't think I have yet to know of a place or find a place that does things similar to that, at least in the Kansas City area. Where did you get that idea from to structure things that way?
So I looked at the average amount of time that most traditional clinic new patient appointments are, and tried to, as I was just seeing some people on the side, tried to work within those confines in those time limits, and I just was finding that the depth that I go into with my evaluation process was not. I mean, I was running out of time per that allotted.
Running out of time to where it was a struggle to even start treatment the same day because
Yeah,
of how
I
much
was.
there
Yeah,
was
there was no chance I was getting to treatment within that time frame, and so I just kind of experimented with some different time frames. And originally, when I started out here, new evals were 90 minutes, and I just figured out over time that it probably needs to be a little bit longer. And in order to actually, so the goal is every new appointment, we want to make 50 to 60% improvement in whatever they have going on that day.
Yeah.
Figure out the root cause of the problem, treat it, improve by 50 to 60%. We don't always do that. I mean, there are some cases that come in that it's just.
It depends. It varies.
Yeah, but I would say probably 80% of the ones we see, we hit that.
Yeah,
Probably close to it, yeah.
Definitely leave feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's another story to see how long they keep those changes.
Sure.
But I think also some of that depends on a bunch of other factors.
Right. Yeah, and so then it's pretty uncommon that we see people more than once a week, unless they've got something pretty crazy going on or their load and volume is just insane. So the follow-up time periods, most typical clinic follow-ups are 30 to 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you look at the people are going to go in 3 times a week, 2-3 times a week for 30 to 45 minutes, then 90 minutes seems like enough time to get through all the things we need to get through, make the changes, do the drills to correct the exercise, or to do the corrective exercises to repattern the nervous system, to actually make a meaningful change. And that's kind of stuck. And then I figured out along the way that there were some that I just didn't need that much time for. So I've got two options in either an hour or an hour and a half appointment slot.
Yeah, yeah. So within those appointments, a common trend you have when seeing people is you'll kind of get them, you'll have them lay down on the table and kind of like ask them how they're doing while the vibrating foam roller's going, and kind of do a quick general look over adjustment type thing if needed. And then if needed, you'll do whatever treatments you need to do, whether that's dry needling, laser, manual work, whatever it may be, right? And then you almost always end appointments with some sort of movement-based rehab exercise type thing. Why that order, and why that philosophy?
So I like starting out with the low threshold vibration to chill the nervous system out. It kind of takes away the threat, allows you to just kind of, a lot of times people rushing to get here, traffic, stress of the day, whatever, and it's just kind of a nice chill reset. And then, we make sure that everything is as it should be, fix the tissue issues, but I firmly believe that we can't maintain the new tissue length changes or neurologic changes we get from dry needling or any of the other interventions unless you go move and use the new range of motion. We get people in here all the time who say, "Oh, I'm super tight here, I'm super tight there," and we evaluate the range of motion, and they're really not tight. The nervous system, the brain will not let you have any range of motion that you can't control. So, if we can open up the range of motion on the table all day long, but then if we don't go use it and teach the brain how to use it and control it, then you're still not going to have that range of motion. Likewise, sometimes we don't ever open up any range of motion. We just teach people how to use it.
Yeah.
So athletes move. We have to make them move and move with quality. Because they're getting plenty of quantity other places.
Sure.
We want to ensure that the quality is going to maintain through the quantity.
Yeah.
And that's why we practice, not necessarily exercises. I like to call them drills more than exercises, because, they're more drilling the nervous system on a pattern.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing to know about this place, and that differentiates it from others, because we primarily work with athletes here, and there are many different people involved on the athlete's team. Whether that's school sports coaches, strength conditioning coaches, healthcare professionals, nutrition people. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things going on, right? And here, our goal is always to try to help complement each of the other team members with the training we do here, right? So it's like, in theory, could we do a lot of strength training? Sure. In theory, could we do a lot of like skill-specific training for their sports? Sure. But you try to look at, well, what are they getting other places? So what's going to be the biggest bang for their buck here that they need to work on? And I think you found that most kids need more of that neurological movement repatterning. So then going to that, right, there's a whole bunch of different ways that people go about that. I would say that your philosophy on repatterning the nervous system and movement quality in people is a lot different than the others I've seen, because your drills are very heavy on proper cues, like keeping your hips tucked, keeping different muscles tight, feeling, squeezing certain places that the stimulus needs to be felt or whatever. What shaped your philosophy with how you drill movement into people?
I mean,
And this could be a whole other
yeah.
party time
Oh,
talk. But like from a general sense, like I know you hammer on like end range of motion control, things of that nature.
Yeah. So I think when we look at particularly non-contact injuries in sport, most of them occur when the body hits a range of motion that it can no longer control, and then bad stuff happens. Or there are too many wiggly parts that the body doesn't know how to make work together. So when we're cueing the nervous system in the body and movement, the goal with being precise is teach the things to stabilize that are going to have to stabilize if they get to end range before bad stuff happens.
Yeah.
So basically trying to teach all the brakes to turn on appropriately, so that crashes don't happen.
Yeah. And then to wrap this talk up, what should people expect from this place when they come here? Either as a new patient, as someone who's following up, as someone who's continually dealing with an injury, or someone who's coming here for more of the injury prevention, workout type stuff. What do you want people to expect when they come here?
I think one of the number one things you should expect is that we're going to ask a lot of questions. And those questions are merely to give us information so that we can best help you. You might, take the athlete that trains at a high level strength conditioning gym. I want to know all the things you're doing there so that, one, we don't duplicate them and continue to feed those same patterns, because you're already getting enough of that somewhere else. I need to know what is either just straight up missing from your training program, or what needs to be re-emphasized from a stability and control perspective. Like, if, for example, you come in with monster pecs and monster shoulders and you're a throwing athlete, I'm going to ask you, what do you do to train the backside? And if your answer is just rows, then we have a lot of work to do on the backside. And it's not that we disagree with or dislike any of the other training philosophies out there. It's just that we're trying to figure out the things that will reduce your risk of injury.
Right.
And I think a lot of times that comes off as threatening towards others, and that's never the case. Like, we're not trying to step on any toes or make anybody mad. It's just a matter of, we want to do right by our people, and we have your best interest in mind from a philosophy of, let's try to prevent the injuries that we can prevent. Most of the time, if trained appropriately, hamstring injuries are very, very preventable. You should never take a batting swing and roll your ankle. You should, there's a lot of different examples that it's not that any of the training that individuals do is bad. I mean, I say that there are some things that are just not smart.
Sure.
I wouldn't suggest doing 4-plate squats on
Bosu ball?
on a Bosu ball or or even better yet, a physio ball. I mean, unless you're training to
Be in the circus.
be in the circus or for an earthquake, is probably not real applicable to what you're trying to do. So, I mean, there are some things that are just ridiculous, and see YouTube gym fails for that. But in general, when we ask a lot of questions and point out that there are some holes in your training roadmap, it's not dogging on anyone else. It's just that this is an area that we need to hit harder to prevent the next big injury or the next big whatever. Maybe that's back pain, slipped or bulged disc. I mean, how many times have we seen that recently with certain types of lifts that may or may not be appropriate at the time they're doing them because of lack of stability. So there's a whole bunch of things that it's what you can expect is that we're going to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Did I wrap that together? I did. Yes.
Yeah.
You can also expect that we are going to tell you how it is, and I know a lot of times that frustrates people because I don't know. I firmly believe that Lizzo said it best: "Truth hurts."
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, we'll ask for some behavior changes and lifestyle modifications to help enhance your ability to be successful in your sport. And sometimes people don't like that. I've had numerous conversations recently with a variety of athletes on recreational marijuana use and the reason they do that, and then we talk about how that impacts the nervous system and is not real. If you want something to fire on all cylinders, you probably shouldn't be doing something that's going to make it not fire on all cylinders. And we're not anti that at all, but if you're trying to function at a high level, then toning that level down over and over and over again is probably not real helpful to your cause.
If your goal is to be a high-level functioning athlete that's going to make it to the pros one day, then you want to put your nervous system in the best way possible to handle those loads.
Right. So we have those conversations. So honesty is another thing you can expect. And I would also say expect the unexpected, because I can think of, there's one in particular that's coming to mind that had a whole bunch of elbow pain for a long time, and I didn't treat anything at the elbow, and I actually had a parent get pretty upset with me because I didn't treat the elbow, but the problem wasn't the elbow. It was lack of spine movement, lack of hip movement, lack of just overall core control that was manifesting as pain at the elbow when throwing. And so expect the unexpected and know that we're going to use all the tools that we have available to look for the point of dysfunction that is creating the issue within the movement patterns.
Yeah. What should people expect from just the general culture and vibe, if you will, of this place? Are we pretty uptight, have no fun around here, or are we only have fun and mess around? Are we a nice balance? Are we nice people? Are we mean people?
This place be bussin', no cap. No, like we have a lot of fun. We joke around. We've got music playing, sports on TV. We've been told by several that we passed the vibe check, whatever that means.
It's a big deal.
Apparently, passing the vibe check is a big deal.
Very big deal.
I don't know. But we want this to feel like a comfortable, welcoming environment and be super chill, not rigid and uptight, because, I mean, nobody likes going into a medical office facility.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times it's just so uptight and prim and proper, and you've got to be quiet and all this.
Yeah, this place is a good mix of quality healthcare in terms of orthopedic injuries and movement, competency, and all that good stuff. It's high quality, but it's also a very fun and relaxed environment where kids and patients of all ages in general can feel comfortable and safe. And that's a big deal, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. I think that about covers kind of the general history and then culture around this place and what people should expect. So, if you guys have any questions about this place, whether you've been here before, you're going to be a new patient, you're thinking about coming, you can ask questions at all times. You can drop them in the comments section. You can DM us, whatever you want to do. But our goal here, and what Brett has done with Lightning Performance Solutions, is he has created a place where you can come to get your injuries and pains properly evaluated and get the tools you need to feel better, perform better, and be able to continue to stay on top of that. It's a very watered down version, but that's the general goal of this place is we want to be able to help kids and people in general do the activities they want at the level they want to do. A lot of work goes into that that Brett has done. But that's what to expect from this place. That's what to expect from us. I know I'm going to speak for both of us here, but we are constantly doing everything we can to make sure we are at the top of our practice. I mean, the continuing ed stuff we do, the books we read, the articles we read, the things we bounce, the ideas we bounce back and forth. I mean, everything is about making ourselves better so that we can make you guys better. That's the main motivation behind this place, and that's never going to go away.
The day that goes away will be the day that I shut this place down.
Yeah, and you don't say that lightly. You're dead serious about that. That is the expectation, and that's how it's always going to be. So, thank you guys for listening, and we'll be back soon with another party time.